Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Fatboyz Dynasty Podcast, coming at you live on the YouTube channel, presented by the FantasyHolics Podcast Network. As always, Bo and Brant live, coming at you this week, taking a small little break from doing all the rookie research. It is Super Bowl week, so we've got some Super Bowl prop bets to come at you with, some fun ones, not necessarily anything super meaningful. And then we thought we'd switch it up a little bit. We're going to play on today's show, Brant. We're going to play a speed dating matchmaker, if you will, in only the way that only traditional fat boys could do. So we're going to talk about, some teams that have some landing spot needs, players, where they may go. And we're going to do this in a little bit of a fun way, Brant. So we're going to play matchmaker. I'm going to talk about a player without giving you the name. You're going to tell me where you'd like to see that player go based off of age, skill sets, things of that nature. And then we'll reveal the name and see if you actually like where that player is and if that's something you'd be interested to invest in potentially in a dynasty landscape. So it should be a pretty fun show. This is the first time you and I have done something to this extent on the show. So it'll be an interesting one for me as well, Brant. So definitely looking forward to that. Also, again, it is Super Bowl week. We've had the conclusion of the Senior Bowl at this point. We've had the conclusion of the Pro Bowl. We're coming into the last week of football for the basically the winter months, and now it's going to start getting to be that dreary long time of the year before we get to the combine and free agency and the NFL draft, Brant.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week we're going to come at you guys with all the dates of the combine and the new of the year league reset and everything else. We'll make sure we get all those dates and times out to you guys. This is the final month. We're going to have a little more fun at the end of this episode with some a little Super Bowl prop bets, fun prop bets that I found online and certain betting sites. We're going to talk a little bit, then we'll probably talk a little bit about the game as well. But it's exciting. Super Bowl, it's almost here. It's that media week. You see some funny questions come up. I don't know if you saw the George Kittle one where they gave him a whole list of his entire team and he's putting them in the Harry Potter houses. Some of the questions are awesome for Media Day. If you guys do get an opportunity, go back and watch some of the Media Day. It's always fun to watch. And I didn't realize how fun it was until the Marshawn Lynch thing came out. I'm just here so I don't get fined. So then I went back, and every year I go back and watch some clips.
Yeah. And for you and I know we've been more paying attention to our own NFL teams this last week and a half or so as both of our teams were hiring head coaches, looking at who potential OCs, DCs were going to be, watching inaugural press conferences, things of that nature. So we've both got those things mostly solidified at this point. So it's easier to jump back in and start working on this fantasy stuff a little bit as well. So without further ado, Brant, let's get into this. Let's get the bibs on.
And let's see.
So, Brant, we're doing this free agency speed dating stuff this week, and the reason we're doing it the way we're going to do it today is it's really easy to say a name like Baker Mayfield, and I say, tell me where his best landing spot is, Brant, and you're going to go, well, he had a lot of success this year in Tampa Bay. They need a quarterback. It makes a lot of sense for him to go back to Tampa Bay. And then I say, okay, Brant, tell me about Derrick Henry. Well, Tennessee needs a bruising running back like Derrick Henry. He owns that city. It's really easy to sit there and give the obvious ones when you know the player's name. But we're going to do things a little bit different. You've gotten some teams that have some needs at certain positions written down. I've got the stats of some of these free agents. Also written down, I'm going to tell you, hey, this is the position we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you some stats, maybe some potential awards for that player, maybe how many Pro Bowls they've been to, things of that nature, as to not give away too much about who they are, but so you know if they're the real deal or not. And then you can, decipher from there and tell me what landing spot you think you'd want that player to go to. Then we're going to talk about, this is who this player is. Do you still like the fit? And B, are you interested in a dynasty landscape if that happens of acquiring said player? So without further ado, Brant, let's go ahead and jump right into these quarterbacks if you're ready to start with quarterback there. So if you would first tell everybody, who's listening, where do you think the best landing spots for potential free agent quarterbacks are?
So one of them is you guys, the Atlanta Falcons. You guys, I think you guys have a great offensive set up there. You got a decent offensive line. You got great wide receiver core. You guys could use a number 2. You got a great running back, great tight end, new head coach. So I think a veteran quarterback could really put that offense on or put the league on notice of that offense. And then you guys can really shift your focus to the defensive side of the ball. If you guys acquire through via trade or free agency. One of the other spots, I do have Minnesota, Tampa Bay written down because their quarterbacks are free agents. Seattle is a great spot. I think, once again, great offensive setup. They're rebuilding the line. And we just hired a defensive-minded head coach, so that could allow him to really address all the defensive needs in the draft. But one of my favorite spots, honestly, is Washington. They got a young thing going on there. They're set up for the future. I think they could use a good veteran quarterback, a good locker room presence to really kick that off there with Dan Quinn and help him, because I don't think Dan Quinn's the guy to be leaning on to develop a quarterback. So I think that a veteran presence right now in their locker room could be a huge thing. So Washington and Denver are 2 of my favorite spots for a veteran quarterback.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into these players then, again, leaving the name out of it for the time being, Brant. So first and foremost, this player is 27 years of age, okay? Last season, he played 17 games, 305 completions, a 62.2% completion percentage, 3,305 yards, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Okay, that's his stats from last year. In 2018, this player won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award. Okay.
What year was that?
2018.
Okay.
And he currently has 1 Pro Bowl appearance.
Man, I'm trying to think of who all the free agents. So he had 3,000 yards, only 9 interceptions. So he controlled the ball. Well, how many touchdowns did you say?
Only 15.
Only 15 touchdowns. That sounds like.
Don't guess the player at this point. Put the numbers where you think this guy could have some
15-9, and his completion percentage was 70%. You said
62.2.
Oh, 62. I'm going to put him. Man, I'm going to put him in Tampa Bay. I think he goes to Tampa Bay. I think they would re-sign Mike Evans if this is the case. I think this is a quarterback that's not going to cost a whole bunch of money out there, with it being 62% passer completion, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 27 years old, good veteran presence for that locker room, good good time to mesh with the older wide receivers there. So I think I'm going to put Tampa Bay as one of the best places for this guy.
All right, so here's the name of the player, Brant. And then again, you're going to tell me if you like this fit or not, and if it's something you would invest in a dynasty. This is one of your favorite quarterbacks in the National Football League, Gardner Minshew.
I love it. I actually do love it. I think that system proved last year that regardless of who you put in there, it could be very good. Minshew, I absolutely love. I would still love him in Seattle more, but I do think Tampa Bay, really, this is a guy that's just fit to win. He's not going to put your team over the edge, but he's definitely a guy that you could run a system offense through. So I think Tampa Bay is a good fit. I also think Indy would be a good fit to stay there and continue his run there until Richardson comes back. But I do like the fit in Tampa Bay.
Okay. All right. Here's quarterback number 2. Are you ready, Brant?
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback number 2, 35 years young. Okay. No spring chicken here. Last year, only 10 games played, 149 completions, 64.8% completion percentage, 1,616 yards passing. Here's the bad part: 4 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Okay. You could make the argument that this offense was pretty putrid all year round. But this quarterback definitely didn't help a whole lot early on. Okay. 2019 Comeback Player of the Year award, led the league in passer rating in 2019, and also took his team on a deep playoff run that was kind of unexpected that year. He has also been to 1 Pro Bowl.
All right,
So
this
definitely more of a veteran presence with this one.
Yeah, this guy right here, I absolutely love him going to Atlanta. I do think I know who it is. I believe that his shortened time this year also was missing his number 1 wideout for a while, and the offense was very putrid. We do know what he is capable of. I believe it's Kirk Cousins, and yes, Atlanta is my favorite spot for him. Other than staying in Minnesota, Atlanta I think makes the best option here. I'm probably wrong on the name.
This is why I told you don't guess player name. Put the player where you, or put the numbers where you like it. This is not Kirk Cousins. Okay. Knowing it's not Kirk Cousins, does this change anything for you?
I don't see him getting a deal. So 2019 is probably when he made the playoffs. 2019 is when he made the playoff run, would be my guess.
He's been a playoff starting caliber quarterback a few times, not just in 2019. That was just one of the best years, and he led this team on a pretty deep playoff run that year.
Comeback Player of the Year. I think he signed somewhere as a backup. I don't know if there's a real fit for him in my mind. I think he's a backup QB at this time.
Okay. I will tell you, you were pretty spot on with what you said. This player's been rumored to Atlanta a few times. It is Ryan Tannehill, Brant.
Career backup, or not career. Rest of his career backup. I don't trust Tanny. I
did do this one intentionally. I thought there was a good chance you would think Ryan Tannehill's age and other things of his career would make him be Kirk Cousins. So there you go. Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to the running backs. These two are both, listen, and I'm just going to call it what it is.
Hang on 1 second. 1 second. If Minshew goes to, I said what, Tampa Bay, I do think he does have fantasy relevancy next year. I do think would be a good opportunity to buy low. Tannehill, don't waste your time on him. I don't think he gets a starting job. I don't think he wins it out.
So what would you pay for Gardner Minshew if he signs in Tampa Bay in a Superflex dynasty league?
Superflex, I'm giving up my probably my last round draft pick, maybe second to last round, depending on how deep it is. I don't think I'm giving up any more than a late second or early third is probably where I'm capping. I don't think I'm going to give up any youthful players, but I do think that he is a guy that you could put in your second flex and not have to worry too much about.
Okay. All right. So again, quarterback position, not nearly as fun as the next two positions. Tight end's really not as fun either, but here we go. Running backs, these guys are both, I would say, pretty well studs. Definitely going to be a little bit more fun names here. So running back number 1, Brant, okay? This guy is 25 years young, okay? 16 games played last year. I would say this is probably his statistically best year of his career. 229 rushing attempts, 1,049 yards rushing, 4.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, 39 receptions, 214 yards receiving, 5.5 yards per catch, and an additional touchdown through the air, Brant. This player has been to 1 Pro Bowl. I got ahead of myself. Real quick, Brant, what's your list of running back needy teams?
Arizona, because I'm not sure what the James Conner situation is. Baltimore is absolutely one team that I absolutely think needs to add a star running back. The Carolina Panthers have their up and downs with Miles Sanders and Chuba, so I think that maybe they could be sniffing around the market. Dallas, Houston, the Los Angeles Chargers is one place that not a whole lot of people are actually talking about needing a running back. And then I got the New York Football Giants due to the fact that I don't think Barkley returns. I don't have the Raiders because I do still believe in Zamir White. So I don't think that they're going to go out and fork over a whole lot of money. They are a team that could use one, but I'm not looking forward to. I mean, if you give me backup stats like you did with Tanny, then I might put the Raiders out there.
Okay. All right. So again, 16 games played last year for this running back. 229 rushes, 1,049 yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns, 39 receptions, 214 yards receiving, 5.5 yards per catch, 1 more touchdown, 1 Pro Bowl. Where do you like this player to fall, Brant? And again, I will give a little precursor on this one. I'm not throwing you any backup running backs here.
I'm actually going to say this. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say the Los Angeles Chargers. He seems like a guy looking at his stats right here that can do it all, can be involved in all, kind of like a Blake Corum. So I think he would fit a hardball scheme. So I like him to be with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Okay. I think this would put the fantasy community in an uproar if this one happens. And I think I already know the answer about whether or not you'd invest in him. This is DeAndre Swift that you would have going to the Los Angeles Chargers.
I honestly do believe that that's the type of back that they do need is DeAndre Swift. Gross because he can't stay healthy. I believe Baltimore is honestly the best fit for him, but Baltimore can't keep backs healthy and Swift can't stay healthy. So that's not a good place for him to go. I do like him going to Los Angeles Chargers if Eckler goes. I do think this is a very good fit for DeAndre Swift.
Okay, very, very good. And again, I think that's one that probably if you're in the back half of the first round of this rookie draft, I think that's a pretty fair price to pay for a 25-year-old back going to a Jim Harbaugh system.
Absolutely, especially if you're a running back needy team, because you're not going to find a better back in this draft, in my mind, in the back half of the first. And I think you honestly, with the way his stats are, looking at his touchdowns and everything, I think you could probably steal him for a second-round draft pick if it's early enough.
Okay. All right. All right, Brent. Moving on to the second running back here. This one is 28 years of age, so a little bit older. Probably would be his last contract as a NFL running back, unless it's a 1-year deal. Only played in 14 games this last year. Okay, 179 carries, 628 yards rushing, 3.5 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. Now, this player was a little worse on the ground, made up for it a little bit on the air or through the air. 51 receptions, 436 yards receiving, 8.5 yards per catch, 1 touchdown.
So
the one thing I will add to this player has 0 career Pro Bowls.
All right, so 0 career Pro Bowls. He doesn't sound like he's a big goal line back. He doesn't sound like he's going to do a whole lot of damage. I'm going to put him 28 years old. I'm going to put him with the Houston Texans to pair along with Dameon Pierce, as Singletary is a free agent. So I'm going to put him with the Houston Texans to pair him with Pierce in a good committee backfield.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this one would probably send the fantasy community into a bigger state of panic than the DeAndre Swift. This is Austin Eckler, Brant.
And you and me talked. This is funny because you and me talked a while back that I do think a good veteran presence running back in that backfield could go a long way. Mm-hmm. And that's very good. I love this fit. I would absolutely love him going to Houston. That's an up. I don't know if it would bring it. That's an upcoming offense with a great quarterback. I think he would be a great fit there.
Oh, yeah. When I say it's in the fantasy community into a panic, I mean everybody be trying to trade for
gotcha.
Austin Eckler. He would be a sell high. Everybody wants to go buy and acquire and get a piece of him at that point. So, yeah, I agree. All right. Running backs are done. Let's get into these wide receivers. This one, every team really could use a wide receiver with the exception of a very few. So who are your favorite landing spots for wide receivers?
My favorite ones right now, Chicago, because I think they're going to add to that quarterback room. I like what they're building there. Jacksonville, I think, needs another one. Trevor Lawrence, we both still believe is a top-tier quarterback, so that's adding. Indianapolis getting a speed demon would be a phenomenal to add with Anthony Richardson. One of my favorite targets, and I know this is going to sound cliche, it's Kansas City. Kansas City, I think, needs to get a true number one. Rice has shown he has the capability, but could you imagine them getting a true number one to pair with Rice? They could be extremely dangerous. even more dangerous than, Super Bowl bound.
Okay. All right. Ready to get into this one? All right. So again, because the wide receiver pool is so much deeper, I am going to throw out their height and weight for you, just to, maybe that makes them fit or doesn't fit with a certain team. Okay. So first wide receiver is 29 years of age. He's 6'1", 190 pounds. This year he played in 17 games. He had 76 receptions, 1,016 yards receiving, 13.4 yards per catch, 8 touchdowns.
Okay.
0 career Pro Bowls. However, in 2018, he was on the all-rookie team. Okay. And in 2020, he was on the second-team all-pro team.
Okay. All right, let me roll through my list here. 6'1", 190. So he'd probably be a good secondary wideout at 29 years old. So has a little age. Man, but those stats still scream wide receiver 1. Let me put him with the New York Football Giants. Let's put a wide receiver 1 there. I think a good old veteran there. 29 years old. He's got the body. He obviously, I'd like to know what his targets were if you do have those written down. But I think with 76 receptions, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, he's a guy that could really, in my mind, he sounds like a big or a target hog. But once again, this could be very deceiving. This guy could have, taken 20 screen passes, then 1 pass to the house for 80 yards. But I'm gonna go with the New York Giants. I like him to try to fill that void there.
He did have 136 targets.
So yeah, he's good target hog. So yeah, let's put him with the New York Giants.
Calvin Ridley, Brant.
What's funny is I was literally tossed up between the Giants and Jacksonville. But like I said, he's in my mind, he's a wide receiver 1 numbers there. So I do like him going to the Giants. I do think he ends up going to Cincinnati to fill in for T. Higgins in my mind, if I really want to say where I think he goes. But I would like him being in a wide receiver 1 role. I think he could do that for the next couple of years before the age and the decline comes.
So obviously, as a Falcons fan, I want to see him re-sign with Jacksonville because we get a conditional 2nd-round pick instead of a 3rd. But yeah, for fantasy only, he definitely would be. He'd be an immediate upgrade over the wide receiving core in New York. So that would be one that would make some sense for him and the Giants potentially. So, all right. Wide receiver number 2, Brant. This guy is 26 years of age, so definitely younger, coming off of his first contract. Okay, 5'9", 180 pounds.
He's just a little fella compared to me.
Only played in 14 games this year.
Okay.
101 targets.
Okay.
51 receptions.
Ooh, bad quarterback.
574 yards receiving, 11.3 yards per catch, 4 touchdowns. And yes, I will say that this player's team definitely had some quarterback issues for at least half the season. It may have gotten better halfway. This player also has had some very good seasons, 0 Pro Bowls.
So in my mind, what I'm looking at here is a slot wide receiver. In my mind, at 5'9", 180, I could be completely missing, the height relevancy here. But 101 targets, 51 catches, 4 touchdowns. A good fit if Diggs stays is Buffalo. They need a good guy that could be a target hog over the middle, or even on the secondary outside. I like him, but Shakira showed some signs of it. But I do like him going to Buffalo as a secondary target there.
Okay, and that's fitting because Gabe Davis is a free agent from Buffalo, so he is out. This is Marquise Hollywood Brown, Brant.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely would fit in for the wide receiver 2 role. I don't know if I really do like that fit, because then you have two guys taking the top off there with Diggs, because Diggs can do it, and Marquise Brown. But yeah, that's decent fit. My favorite fit for him, and you might hate me for this, I think Atlanta would benefit him. He takes the top off the defense and allows Kyle Pitts and Drake London to work their great routes. So I really do like Brown going to Atlanta. I wouldn't hate it going to Buffalo, because he does have Josh Allen there. But yeah, I think Atlanta and Buffalo are the best 2 spots for him.
Yeah, Atlanta is definitely. This is a player that I would like to see come to Atlanta. Again, it would depend on who the quarterback is, and if you get a Kirk Cousins, this is a guy that I think is a must, because you'd have to be able to say you're going for it this year, I think. So I like Marquise Brown to Atlanta as well. If you tell me he's in Buffalo, for me, Brant, I'm probably only willing to pay like a early second round, late first. I'm talking like the 110 potentially for him, depending on how long his contract is. If he signs a 3-year deal to be paired with Josh Allen for 3 years, I'd probably give up that back half first in this class if I really don't love a player that I think is going to fall to me, just because I do think Hollywood Brown would be a good fit in that. Not necessarily a great fit, but he could grow into the 1 if Diggs ends up staying unhappy and phasing out, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'm giving up a 1. This wide receiver draft is too close or too deep. I think maybe a second-round draft pick I could probably get behind. And like you said, maybe you could persuade me to give up the 110 to 112, but I think it would take a lot for me to be persuaded. But yeah, I do think that would be if he did happen to go to Atlanta, once again, pinning on quarterbacks, that I think I'm in about the same boat there.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the last position here. This one's also not super exciting. However, we saw this year that tight ends do make a difference in fantasy, even if you don't have Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce didn't finish as the 1 this year, so it should be open next year. And this may be one of those things where these guys just need to change of scenery, Brant. So let's get into the tight ends. Tell me who you have for fits for a tight end.
I got Carolina's a big one. They don't really have a good tight end there. They have a couple blocking ones. I got Cincinnati being one, losing T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd possibly. They've never had really a solidified tight end there. Miami's is losing their tight end, I do believe. Indianapolis never had a go-getter. I know they have, you talked about him this year.
Mo Alley Cox, Kylan Granson.
Granson was the one you talked about. I know he's still under contract. Mo Alley's been wishy-washy. And then I have Seattle because Noah Fant's leaving, and Lord knows we need 18 tight ends on the roster. We might only get 15 now.
Pete's gone, so I think the tight end numbers will go down a little bit. So, but okay, let's go ahead and get into this. So again, these guys aren't necessarily super flashy because there's not any super flashy available players, but these guys are definitely guys that have been rostered for the most part of their careers in fantasy formats, and they've definitely provided some sparks week in and week out. All right, so the first tight end is 29 years of age, 15 games played, 51 receptions, 411 yards receiving, 8.1 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns, 0 Pro Bowls, Brant. I do believe last year he was on his 3rd NFL roster.
You said he's 29?
29 years of age.
51 receptions, okay. And how many games? Sorry, I missed it.
15 games played. 15.
Okay. So he's not really a big guy that's going to be in the end zone with only 3 touchdowns, or he's coming off a team that didn't use him a whole lot. I want a target hog there in Carolina because I think that Young needs something like that. This is a guy that could feed off of the little bit of work. Let's put him in Miami to go with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. He's a guy that doesn't need to be on the field a whole lot to make a huge difference. So let's go put him in Miami.
Okay, I think I like this fit actually, Brant. This is Gerald Everett that you
Oh,
would have going to Miami. I do think that would be one that would be a needle mover for me.
yeah, absolutely. And obviously, with tight ends, I'm not giving up a whole lot. He is 29 years old. But he definitely would be a guy I'd be looking into rostering if I was a tight end needy team. We know that they do like to use their tight ends near the goal line if he goes to Miami. So I think that would be a very good fit for him. Really help them push that passing game needle up a little bit more, too. Not that they really need it.
Okay. All right. Okay, here's second tight end for you, Brant. Same age, 29 years of age as well. 14 games played for this guy. Okay. He had 42 receptions, 419 yards receiving, 10 yards per catch, 6 touchdowns. Okay. Still 0 Pro Bowls. However, in 2016, this player was on the all rookie team.
2016 all rookie. He looks like he may get targeted towards the end zone. So probably a bigger body guy with the 6 tutties. Let's move him into Cincinnati. Let's put him there. Give him 42 receptions, a veteran tight end. Get you a little more red zone presence. Let's put him in Cincinnati.
Okay, this player I think is one that had his season have stayed the way it started, he would have been a very hot commodity this offseason. This is Hunter Henry, who started on fire and then fell off.
I absolutely would love him to be in Cincinnati. We saw what he does in the red zone with terrible quarterbacks. So give him Joe Burrow looking his way in the red zone. I absolutely do like Hunter Henry there.
We're really not that far removed from his time in Los Angeles, where he was a bona fide fantasy option. You know, he went to New England and signed there the same off season that Jonnu Smith did. And then Jonnu Smith got out of town, and then Mike Gesicki came, and it was one of those things where it was just constantly like he was never just the number one tight end, you know, doing tight end things. So I do think you're right, Brant. You put him in Cincinnati, he could have a chance to be an instant fantasy impact player there.
Yeah, and like you said, when he was with the Chargers, he was the tight end one, and he was phenomenal for most games. So yeah, this is an absolute guy that in my mind he could almost fill into any slot of these needy tight ends and make an impact.
Absolutely. So that kind of does settles what we were doing this week for the free agency thing. Again, that's something we may revisit again between now and free agency. Maybe the week before free agency starts, we do this again with some different names. We'll see where we go. But let's get into these prop bets a little bit, and then we'll talk about the actual Super Bowl.
All right, my favorite prop bet. Jason Kelce, what happens first? Does he go shirtless, or does they show him chugging a beer? What is the first thing that CBS shows? Is it chugging a beer or going shirtless? And I'll tell you the odds if you want to hear them. It's minus 175 to be shirtless first, and plus 125 to be shown chugging a beer. Which one is he doing first?
You know, I think the taking his shirt off is a little played out at this point. I think he chugs a beer.
I do too. I think he chugs the beer. It makes America some money there. Make America great with shotgunning a beer on TV. Now, here's the other one. This one here. This is my girl Reba. Love her to death. She's singing the national anthem over under 90 seconds.
Oh, Reba, she's going way over 90 seconds.
Catch this. The last time she did the national anthem for, I don't remember what the event was, 83 seconds is what she did. That was, I think, 4 years ago. I think it was 2020. But yeah, I'm going with over. I think she does hold a few notes and really puts that power into this game. I absolutely love Reba, so I'm excited to see this.
What are the odds on that one?
Could not find the odds. I just found the time frame on it.
Okay.
I believe they're the same as the coin flip, 110 negative 110 both ways. This is the other one I found, and I couldn't believe this was a real bet, and I couldn't find the odds on it. I will go try to track this down. Who gets shown first, Jason Kelce or Taylor Swift?
Oh, my Taylor Swift. I mean, that's I'm shocked that we're even asking. It's got to be Taylor Swift.
I had to get one Swift in, even though I'm about tired of hearing about her.
Listen, I've got 2 Swifties in my house. I'm sure you have a few in your house as well. But you know, listen, for you and I, we're crusty old dudes at this point in our lives. Like, yeah, we want to see football. We don't care about her, but it is bringing in a new fold of people that may not watch football. I read something the other day that she's brought in like $330 million of revenue to just the Kansas City Chiefs, let alone viewership for the NFL and things of that nature. So, hey, Brent, we may have a whole new community of fantasy footballers in a couple of years that are, they're all, Taylor eras fantasy football players. So I'm not going to knock it just yet because this is the last time we're going to have to endure this for a little while as football fans. I know my kids are waiting for the Taylor Swift Eras tour to come out on Disney Plus, and I'm sure I'll be forced to sit through that. But until my kids make me do it, this will be the last time I have to see Taylor Swift on TV. So I'm okay with it.
Loud. Don't speak that too loud because I didn't know anything was coming to Disney.
I got one prop bet for you that I want to ask you before we get into this. And this is one of my favorite ones to bet on. You and I have talked about this years past. What is the color of the Gatorade that you think happens this year?
Look, after what I heard Randy Reed say, I'm going with blue. He said something about it. If he shows up on Sunday, remember blue's my favorite Gatorade color. I'm going with the blue Gatorade.
Okay. I'm going to say yellow. I just think yellow is a transcendent. Everybody likes yellow Gatorade for the most part. I think it's pretty traditionally on sidelines. I know last year was clear, I think we got, or
purple.
The white.
Purple was the first one.
2 years ago. 2 years ago was white. So yes, purple last year. I think we switch it up again this year. We get a new color. But yeah, you got these are the little things that we all do to make the Super Bowl more entertaining, right? Like, yeah, we want the game to start, but like, how long is Reba's national anthem going to be? Or yeah, we want to see the game come back, but what does the halftime performance look like? These are things that are interesting.
One of the bets is what color hat is Reba going to wear? How do we even know she's going to wear a hat?
Hey, sometimes the script writers have got it. So okay. Let's talk about the actual game for just a split second, and then before we sign off, I want to talk about the menu that we're talking about this week, because we have a very interesting one going up here at our house. So I'm interested to hear what you guys are doing. But you've got the Kansas City Chiefs, you've got the San Francisco 49ers. There's already been some controversy with this game. You've got the San Francisco 49ers who are complaining that the field conditions they're practicing on are terrible over there at the University of Las Vegas, and then you've got the 49ers with the whole Kadarius Toney catastrophe that's taking place right now. There is still a game to be played. I did just see today that I think it's Juwan Taylor is the starting left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. His mom just passed away. He's dedicating the game to her. So there's so many storylines coming into this game, in addition to just the Patrick Mahomes dominance, the Christian McCaffrey stuff, the Mr. Irrelevant stuff, the Travis and Taylor stuff. This is literally, if the NFL was scripted, which I do not believe it is, I don't think it's scripted, Brand. I really don't. I think maybe sometimes officials get too much involved, but I don't think it's scripted. But if a Hollywood, person was making a movie about the NFL, this would be the Super Bowl they draw up just because of how many storylines there are in it. So what are a couple things that you're looking forward to seeing on the field come Sunday? And who do you think wins is the second part of this?
I'm looking to see if those wide receivers can get open against in a good amount of time against the San Francisco defense on the Chiefs side of the ball. I'm looking to see if the Chiefs can slow down CMC. That's kind of what I'll be looking for on there. I'll break down my thoughts on the game after, or I could do that now. I think the game's going to go back and forth a little bit. I think the over-under right now is, I'm pulling it up right now, it's 47.5. And it's 2.5 point spread in favor of the Niners. I'm giving the game to the Chiefs. I think their defense is good enough to keep them in the game. And then it comes down to who has the better offense / quarterback play. I think if you look at overall offense, you get the Niners with the receiving core and everything else. But then you go to the quarterback play, and I can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes finds a way to pull out another championship there. And honestly, you might see Travis Kelce walk away from the game too with his brother.
Okay. All right. So again, as we're recording, we just had breaking news come across. It's definitely going to have an impact on the Super Bowl. You might as well crown the Kansas City Chiefs now. Sky Moore has been activated from the IR.
Oh boy.
So there you go. For me, I'm interested in the two founders of Tight End U are going head to head this week with George Kittle and Travis Kelce. And I think if Travis wasn't dating one of the most famous people in the world right now, I think you'd be hearing more about Kelce versus Kittle. So that's one I'm interested to see how that plays out. And really, I'm excited to see how Rashee Rice looks on the big stage. He's been one of the more fun rookie wideouts this year. I'm excited to see what Isaiah Pacheco looks like. And then the other thing I want to keep an eye on, Brant, is Chase Young has been getting ridiculed for his lack of hustle in the NFC Championship game, and really since he's been in San Francisco. So I'm interested to see if he pins his ears back and makes some plays in the Super Bowl. He is going to be a free agent, I believe, at the end of this season. So for him, he's got money on the line here. He needs to try to go out and play. And plus, let's be honest, if San Francisco ends up losing in a close game and there's more video footage of him loafing on the field, it's not going to be a good look for him. So those are things that I'm interested to see. I, too, think I am going with the Kansas City Chiefs. I am not to the point where I'm like most of America right now. I don't view the Kansas City Chiefs in the same light I view the New England Patriots in. I'm still enjoying this story with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid. Andy Reid may be one of my favorite people in the world just because of how he is in his commercials. And I laugh every time I see him. Give me those nuggies. So, again, I think I'm rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think part of me is still bitter with Kyle Shanahan in 2016 when he left my Atlanta Falcons. So I'm just hopeful for a good game because I'm going to have a spread of food to eat, and I'm very excited about that. I can't wait to tell you in America what I'm going to be eating Sunday, but I want you to go ahead and go first.
I'll get into my spread in just a second. Give me a touchdown score. One touchdown score in that game.
Rashee Rice.
Okay. I'm going with the guy that slid on the 2-yard line last year to run the clock out. Jerick McKinnon. I think they feed him the ball early in the red zone, and they let him get in the end zone and get what he missed last year. I'm going with Jerick McKinnon. I'm going to sprinkle a little dust on that. My menu is the same thing every single year. We do appetizers. We load up. Dad comes over. My brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, they come over. We load up. He's doing some weenies and meatballs. They'll do cheddar cheese dip. We'll probably roll out some sandwich wheels or whatever they are, the ham and pickle.
Pinwheels.
Relish. Yeah, pinwheels. We'll roll some of those out. We'll have appetizers, chips, maybe some tacos and stuff. I'm not even sure. I know it's mainly appetizers, but we kind of have a decent little spread go on here with just appetizers. And we play a little bingo with the kids. We make our own bingo cards. Grandpa brings over some gifts. Everybody gets one, but then we play a little bingo that keeps the kids involved. May have to do a couple Taylor Swift squares this year, but it keeps everyone involved.
Okay. So I'm going to subtly brag for just a minute because it's been partly my wife's idea to go all out for this. We're having our family come over this weekend to watch the game. And there's definitely some Taylor fans coming over that don't care anything about football. So I don't know what everybody else is bringing, but I can tell you for sure, my wife is making Philly cheesesteaks. We are having a chili cheese dog casserole bake. My wife is making 5 flavors of deviled eggs. I'm so excited. I'm a deviled egg connoisseur. So we've got regular deviled eggs, buffalo deviled eggs, BLT deviled eggs, jalapeno deviled eggs. I probably won't eat any of those. And then I think there's like a ranch seasoned. I don't know. There's like all kinds of deviled eggs. And then we got like brownies, chips, and dip. I'm going to be like even more morbidly obese late Sunday evening than I am currently. So I'm just over the moon excited about it. And then that's not counting what my sister and brother-in-law are bringing or my father-in-law. So there's going to be a spread here for sure. My eyes are definitely going to be bigger than my belly, but I plan on wearing the stretchy pants, Brant.
There you go. Absolutely. Super Bowl's always fun. Good time to hang out with your family, get some food going down, especially when your team's not playing in it, because I know when my team's playing in it, I have a tendency to maybe kick a family member or two out of the house or out of the room when the comebacks start. So I'm looking forward to a good game. I do think that 2.5 point spread is going to be very generous one way or another. I think it's going to be pretty close to it. I look forward to a good weekend of football.
Absolutely, Brian. Absolutely. And definitely we'll do some, talking about the Super Bowl on next week's episode as we get into things.
Absolutely. Next week, I would like to do something about who has, I think we're going to do something about who has improved their draft stock for throughout the playoffs or even at the end of the year from where they were drafted or talked about. I think that would be a good thing to cover sometime in this offseason. But as always, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.